Crash across America.
Tell us about some of the things that you've been doing, and then let's pass it over to Janet, who's right next to you, and she can describe some of what you've done. Let's talk first about Michael Moore, because we've been discussing Michael Moore and how much attention he's been getting. We had this poll over at the Liberty Conspiracy website, and Michael Moore was slammed in that thing. It was like something like 80-some% said, no, don't regulate the insurance market any more than you've already done. It's already bad enough. Tell us about Michael Moore and his ridiculous movie Sicko and what you've been doing.
I gotta be honest, I'm not a big fan of Michael Moore.
Yeah,
that may come as a shock, but so he came to DC for a movie premiere for a Sicko, and you know, we have a lot of crashers there.
Yeah.
So we came, we had some ladies in naughty nurse costumes, and actually we helped Castro, who's actually a zombie now, Zombie Castro, show up. And we had him in a wheelchair and wheeled him up and tried to get him into the to see Sicko, since Michael Moore's such a big fan, but Michael Moore would not allow him in. And so we passed out flyers with photos showing you know, what socialized medicine looked like. It was great, you know, because all the cameras, the red carpet is all for Michael Moore.
Oh, it's all glitzy.
We're able to do, you know, an Aikido move, you know, just with a fewer number of us, but to getting, you know, the spotlight put on what we believe.
That's one of the things that I love about Bureaucrash is you get these few infiltrators that come in and they do things that are just really funny. You are almost protesters. You might protest a protest. You throw these people in and you mock the protesters and show how they're logically or evidentially not sound, and I love that. With Michael Moore, it's amazing. We'll talk about the substance of the issue too. I'll give you an example. Now, Janet, you're from Canada, correct?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's move it over to you for a second and talk a little bit about the substance behind Michael Moore's philosophy of getting the federal government more involved. A, it's unconstitutional. We don't even have to question that, and I don't understand why anybody who is beyond the age of 10 can't pick up that stupid document, read it, understand the history of it, and say, oh, by the way, the federal government doesn't have a place for this. Emotion does not trump the law, but that's just the way it is. Coming from Canada, you have an understanding of this. I'll just tell you an anecdote. I have a friend who lives out in near Winnipeg, and she was diagnosed with cancer. She has 2 kids. She's a single mom and is trying to strive on her own. She wanted to get a second opinion. She'd have to wait 6 to 8 months to get a second opinion. So she took her own money, cash, drove down to the United States and got a second opinion. Turned out she didn't have it at all.
Wow.
It's just incredible to think the stress she would have been put under because of the Canadian system, because, well, everybody has a right to health insurance, they say, which is bogus. Janet, why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
That's actually a really fortunate case, because usually it goes the other way. All the horror stories I've heard from people that I know are somebody who has cancer, and they figure out, wait, like, you don't have asthma, you don't have depression, but years after they've started treating them for asthma or depression,
oh, man.
and it's too late. Like, those are the stories I hear. Or like anything, if you have if you have catastrophic care, I guess you probably won't die. But as soon as you've got something that's going to require a lot of testing or long-term care, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
I was in British Columbia, in Vancouver, and I was working on a TV show up there, and I used to hang out with the guys who used to make the sets for the show The Outer Limits. I'd go down on set and I'd talk to them. They were real nice guys, all hockey players, you know, real salt-of-the-earth dudes, you know, no egos or anything. And I heard something on the radio where they said, well, the new BC healthcare system is going to be adjusted because they're finding that people are dissatisfied with the amount of time they get to spend with the doctors. The doctors are moving people in and out very, very rapidly. And of course you know why, because the government is paying. When the government pays, that increases the demand because people will go, they're not paying their own money, and they'll go for almost any reason. The doctors are then given price controls by the government to try to control costs, and the doctors say, well, we're not getting paid what we should be paid for these services, so we'll cut back on the amount of time we'll see these people. And then the customers, the clients, become frustrated and complain to the government and saying, we're not getting enough time in with the doctors. So the government decided in BC, and it's all sort of all tied together, each area of course, they said, well, we'll decide what maladies take precedence and how long they can be seen. And so this guy working on something pulls his hammer away and he goes, does that mean they'll tell us what we can get sick with when? I was like, precisely, the absurdity of it is amazing. It's incredible, and of course it's all predicated on this fallacious idea that people have a right to something, a right to the services of someone else. And that's very strong in Canada. Do you still see market differences between the Canadian style and the American style, and are you worried that the United States is heading in this Canadian direction, Janet?
From the sounds of it, you guys are kind of in some trouble. I think Americans really don't understand. We don't just have a universal health care. We have a ban on any other kind of insurance. So if the system isn't taking care of you,
You can't pay privately.
no, you can't. Like there's not even like a private MRI clinic you can go to unless you leave the country, and you can't like a middle class person can't pay for insurance that will then cover catastrophic care. You have to have the money to take yourself completely out of the system.
Wow.
And go and get it. So like I get really upset when I see something like Sicko by Michael Moore because he just doesn't tell the whole story, and it's really tragic.
Yeah.
I don't know how bad it is in New Hampshire, but yeah, I hear stuff from California, I hear stuff from Michigan. It doesn't sound good.
You know, it's really interesting to hear that, to hear someone talk about Michael Moore and say he doesn't tell the whole story, and you come from one of those areas that he features as wonderful in his socialized paradigm. Listen, we're going to have to take a break, so let's do this. Janet, Jason, we have Tom coming up shortly. The number is 866-823-1077. This is Against the Grain. It is The Pulse, 1077 FM. Find us at WTPLFM.com or go to LibertyConspiracy.com. And remember this website, Bureaucrash.com. Check out the t-shirts they have. It is really, really cool to see what they're doing. We'll return. It's Against the Grain. I'm Gardner Goldsmith.